Coach Corey Martin here, and today we're going to look at my man Tegan, and we're going to talk about arm slot and how I used arm slot to work with Tegan. Tegan's only 9 years old, so he's young, still growing fast, developing. But when we first started working, this is back in September of 2020, so not too long ago. You can see his arm slot, that yellow arrow up here, was very close to 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock arm slot. 40.5 miles per hour, 42 miles per hour, 42.8. Spin efficiency was in the 70s consistently, and arm slot was right there, pretty close to 3 o'clock, which is basically sidearm. This was before pitchLogic Pro, but I did find a screenshot or a still image to give you an example of what his arm slot was like. Remember, what we show you is the view from behind the pitcher looking towards the catcher. So this is a reversed view, but you can still see that sidearm arm slot. Let's jump up in time on the pitch selector. Let's travel to, now we're in April of 2021. You can look at his velocity over here and see he's consistent, getting close to the mid-40s, so a tick up in velocity. But the big thing with us was the arm slot. Now we're getting close to 2 o'clock. This is just over 2 o'clock, which was ultimately our goal. Still 70% spin efficiency. There's a 90%, 92%, 45 miles per hour, right over 2 o'clock on the arm slot. I don't focus too much on the spin data, specifically total spin, just because at this age they're still really young with smaller developing hands. So that grip on the baseball is not going to be as easy to manipulate as an older person with more mature hands. But the biggest thing for us was just biomechanically, we were doing things that were really improving his arm slot and getting a slot where we wanted it to be. And they have their own pitchLogic baseball, so on their own time, they would send me data. I know that they were working on these things at home, which was a huge game changer with Tegan. Now let's jump forward to here recently in June. This was a 49 mile per hour throw. Look at the total spin. I know we're not focusing on that, but then look at the arm slot. Over 2 o'clock now. I think he even had a throw over 50 miles per hour. But putting him in good positions, like I said, I don't like to get too deep into the biomechanics. I'm not trying to share my coaching philosophy, just give you examples of how we look at arm slot and some of these other metrics. But that arm slot now is nice and over 2 o'clock, putting himself in good positions. But the best part of this entire process was when we finally jumped on the mound, and because we don't do much on the mound until we develop a solid foundation of throwing. But after developing that foundation of throwing, Tegan jumps on the mound, putting it all together. Pound in the strike zone, arm slot still right over 2 o'clock, spin efficiency looks good, and his speed is way better than what it started out at. And you can just see if I stop this thing right here at release, definitely not sidearm anymore, just over 2 o'clock on the arm slot, and you can see that clean spin he's getting on the baseball as well. Great job right here by Tegan. Solid work. He's going to continue developing, but this is how I use arm slot, or an example of how I use arm slot as a coach. Thanks for watching.